I have a friend who is really a medical missionary, a bit of a colporteur and a bit of a medical missionary, and he travels the globe and meets with clients, and he helps them come up with a plan to help them deal with some of their health issues. It might be high blood pressure, it might be high cholesterol, it might be they have heart disease, whatever the issue might be. And so he's working with a couple, I should say, not a company. He was working with a couple over there in the Middle East, and he was working with them and helping them with how they could eat, things that they could eat that would be better for them, getting them on an exercise regimen, doing different things for them. And the husband, his issues became much more minimal. They weren't as concerning as before as he was working on this regimen. But the wife's conditions remained the same. And she was doing everything he was doing. They were both doing everything that he had asked them to do to help them live good, healthy lives. But there was one thing that she wasn't doing or hadn't done that he found out. He sat down with her, tried to find out what's going on here, what's wrong, and discovered that she was harboring unforgiveness, a bitter spirit toward her mother. And he told her unless she deals with that issue, her health challenges are going to still remain, because that was what was holding up the works. And so they prayed about it, they talked about it. She made an effort to reach out, and lo and behold, the effort resolved itself. It was a beautiful thing. And all of a sudden her health issues went from high concern to low concern. So when we talk about health, it's not just the physical things that we do. There's also the harboring an unforgiving spirit, bitterness, envy. Those things can affect the health as well. But I want to talk a little bit about some health things with you here this morning before we go on to the next contrast. I want to share with you some health in life enhancers, health that'll bring a healthier life. And of course, if we practice these 8 enhancers of a longer life, our lives will be much better for it. First of all, the first one is eat more, weigh less. Yes, you heard me right. Eat more, weigh less. Eat more whole grains and fruits and nuts and vegetables, and minimize and eliminate the high-fat, high-cholesterol foods. See, I had you there for a minute, didn't I? Yeah. Some of you are listening. Eat more, weigh less. Eat more of the good stuff. You know, the Bible presents 3 diets. You know what those diets are? There's the unacceptable diet. That's the one we read about in Leviticus chapter 11, Deuteronomy 14. Certain land animals, sea creatures, birds that we shouldn't eat, scavengers and the like, leave those off the dinner plate. Then there's the acceptable diet. God allowed man to, after the flood, to eat flesh foods. Wasn't the ideal diet. It was the permissible, primarily because there wasn't any vegetation to eat at the time. So they began to eat particular clean animals. It was permissible. It wasn't a command. It was just allowed. And but then there's the ideal diet, and that ideal diet you read about back in Genesis, of course, and where God commanded Adam and Eve to eat from the fruit of the tree, where the fruit grows and the nuts grow and so on. And so the diet that God had given Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden was the ideal diet. It was the best diet for them. Of course, He's the Creator. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows what fuel we need to fuel the tank and keep us moving in a good way, in a healthy way. And so He gave them that diet. And science has discovered over the course of years, of not many years, but few years, that the vegetarian diet is the best diet, a better diet than other diets when coupled with other things. Back in Australia, where I'm from, I was 17. I decided I'd go vegetarian. My friends looked at me, "What? What is that? And why would you do that? And you need your meat." And so I'd be the only one that ordered a vegetarian pizza when I was with my friends. And there was another person there. No, I'll take some of the vegetarian pizza. I'm trying to go that way too. And I was just kind of doing it for health purposes. To be honest with you, when I looked at a steak, I was looking at the nostrils of a cow. I just couldn't do it anymore. I looked at the meat and I saw the animal. I said, this is weird. I can't do this anymore. It was kind of weird. I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but it did. And just said, I'm not going to do it. 17. And even at 17, 17, you're filled with energy, the rest of your life before you. I'll tell you, I felt lighter. I felt like I had far more energy when I stopped eating flesh foods, meat. But back in Australia, the Medical Journal of Australia was asked the question, is a vegetarian diet adequate? Because you often hear, oh, no, you need your protein, oh, you need your iron, you need meat for all of that. No, you don't. The Medical Journal of Australia said in a vegetarian diet, you get adequate protein and you get adequate iron. And of course, there have been little movies that have come out that have talked about the benefits of a vegetarian diet, and books and others. And so this is nothing new. If you know the Bible, you know this is nothing new. And God is asking his people to rise to the occasion and to be examples to those around us, to let people know this is the better way to live, the better way to go. And we live this way not because we want to necessarily live a longer life. We live this way because we know it helps keep the mind clear. And it's the mind that God has the opportunity to speak to us through. Clogged mind limits the communication. Freer mind, clearer mind, God's better able to communicate with us. And so eat more and weigh less. The other one is exercise reasonably and consistently. It increases lungs, process the air. Hearts will grow stronger. You're given more stamina. Strengthens the bones, can lift a person out of depression, relieves anxiety and stress. All the benefits of exercise far outweigh the negatives, that is sore muscles, aching back, and all the rest. So exercise reasonably and consistently. Also, avoid caffeine. Did I say that? I did. Avoid caffeine and colas. Not too many smiles now. Drink more water. Let me ask you a question. Would you shower in cola beverages or caffeine? No, you wouldn't. You shower in what? Because it's clean. It cleans you. And that's what we should be putting down our throats and cleaning out the body. We are 70% water. This is just a piece of trivia. 70% water. Do you know how much water the kidney processes in a day? 47 gallons of water in a day. Without water, we would be more wrinkled than a California raisin. And so we can be grateful for water. Drink lots of water. They say 7 to 8 glasses a day. As it goes in, it comes out. I'll say no more. Also, plenty of sunshine, and living in California, it's easy to get a lot of sunshine, of course. Enjoy the great outdoors. Getting lots of sunshine improves the sleep. It kills germs. It gives skin to a healthy glow. It elevates the mood. It allows the body to manufacture vitamin D, which enables the body to pick up calcium in building bones, helps with other symptoms. Just 20 minutes a day is all we really need for those good things. Temperance. That's just a moderation of good things and abstaining from those things that are harmful. The word moderation today is as popular as the word wholesome. It was Dr. Hans Seeley that said the human body, like tires on a car or a rug on a floor, wears longest when it is worn evenly. And so temperance, moderation. Fresh air, always the best, fresh air. Air is the breath of life. We're dependent on it for oxygen and to operate the powerhouse of ourselves. The powerhouse of ourselves is called mitochondria. And it's the mitochondria that is the backbone of every activity carried out in our bodies. And fresh air helps with that. Of course, rest, sleep well, relax when you need to, and always remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. Rest allows your body and mind to renew and to repair. It strengthens your immune system. It adds length of years. Sleep well. To sleep well, get exercise regularly, eat light at night, and of course, go to bed with a clear conscience. And only Jesus can help us with that. And then the last one is trust. Trust in divine power. Rest in God's forgiveness. Abide in his love. Know that he'll take care of your needs. And it also helps to maintain somewhat of a good sense of humor. It's easier, friends, to maintain good health than to regain it. Someone said people will spend their health to acquire wealth, then they'll gladly pay all of their wealth to regain their health. There's no point in doing that. So the question is, why die before our time? God wants us to burn brightly for as long as we can, for as long as we'll last. What do you say out there? Yeah, amen to that, surely. So be fit to live. Be fit to live, and it will help maintain enthusiasm so you don't burn out. The second lesson I want to talk with you about is simply this: never give up. Never give up. Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we reap if we faint not." So don't give up. There's a difference between desisting and persisting. So what is desisting? Desisting just simply means quitting. To cease and to desist. That's what it, just to quit. So have you ever been treated unfairly, unkindly, and you've wanted to quit? Do you know people with a cease and desist attitude? Desisting, it means quitting. But persisting simply means going on, even when things aren't going as planned, even when you're not being treated the way you want to be treated. Someone said persisting is a lifetime commitment achieved through daily devotion to duty. Daily devotion to duty. You know, we all go through life's turning points, and life's turning points tend to be the greatest teachers of persistence. Now, all of us have life's turning points. Some of the positive turning points in life: when you get baptized, graduating from high school or college, maybe getting a pay raise at work, or being promoted at work, or getting your first job. Maybe for others it's married and having children, or maybe starting a business. So these are positive turning points in a person's life. But there are the sad ones, the difficult ones, and these ones are the ones where we're challenged to persist, like losing a job, going through a divorce, experiencing a financial setback, or maybe even health setbacks, losing a loved one to death. These are life's turning points, and they can be the greatest teachers of persistence. I was in my early 20s, and I've shared some of this with you before. I was working out my visa issues with the United States, had to renew my visa. I went up to Canada, then I came back down into the United States, and when I reached the border, I wasn't allowed to come back into the United States. And the guy that I met at the border, he'd gotten out of the wrong side of bed. He thought treated me like a criminal. He yelled and was angry at me. He searched my car, had me come into the immigration office, and would just give me a very hard time. And I asked to speak to the supervisor. The supervisor didn't do anything about it. And this man prevented me from going back into the United States. And it was a big issue. I had potential work in the United States. Jennifer was in the United States. What am I going to do about Jennifer? And so he said, you need to go back to Canada. So I went back to Canada, and when I got to the Canadian border, they said, they looked at my passport, why are you back so soon? I said, well, I wasn't allowed to go back. They said, why weren't you allowed to go back? I said, I don't know why. They didn't tell me why. They just told me you can't come in. And so they said, well, if you can't, they won't let you in there. What makes you think we're going to let you in here? I thought, oh no, I'm in big trouble. And there's nowhere to live between the American and Canadian border. It's just a line, It's just a line, fine line. So they sat me down, they did some interrogation, they talked to me, and finally they said, okay, you can go in. And so as soon as I found a payphone, I called Jennifer. I said, you won't believe it, I can't get back into the United States. And I don't know what to do. And I said, I'm going to try to go to the embassy and try to get this worked out. And I knew someone that lived in the Montreal area, and I was in Quebec. Now, if you know Quebec's the French-speaking province of Canada, and I don't speak French. But I knew a family that lived there, actually a friend that I had canvassed with in the summer when I was in college. And I asked her, can I, just for a few nights, can I stay with you guys? I've got to work out this immigration issue. She said, sure, come on over. So I stayed there with the family, and couldn't work out the issue with the immigration. They said, you've got to book an appointment, you've got to come back in several months. So I said, I don't know, should I just go? I don't know where to go. I had a car, didn't have much money. And this whole experience was an interesting experience. I mean, you have to understand my mindset at the time. I had come to America, and I didn't want to come to America. God had called me to ministry, and I didn't want to do ministry. But things had changed, and I had been accepting, and God had opened a door, and things looked like they were going to go okay. Then all of a sudden, it all came crashing down. And I was asking God, what is going on? What is happening? I've gone through all of this now to just turn around, and what's this all about? And it was a real spiritual challenge for me. And the family said, you can stay while you're working out the issues. And when I went back in to work out the issues, for 3 months, I was in Quebec. I heard French all around me. And to this day, I don't remember a bit of it. I certainly don't have the gift of tongues, I can tell you that. But I was there, and they were so gracious and so kind. I bought it. I had to go back. They told me, you got to go back to Australia. Immigration said, work it out back in your home country. So I sold the car I had to the young man in the home. He needed a car, so I sold him my car. And bought me a plane ticket, went to Melbourne, stayed with my sister. Hey, could you take a poor, lonely brother back? Can you take him in? Sure, bro, come on. So I stayed with my sister in Melbourne, try to work something out with immigration. They said, you're going to have to wait a year. Come back in a year. So I went back to Adelaide, Australia, where my folks are. I said, I never thought that at the age of 23 I'd be moving back in with my parents. And so would you take me back in? We'll take you back in. We'll get you worked out. So I found work. Jen and I were communicating, and this was a real test on our relationship. What was going to happen? Would I ever be able to get back? And after a year, things still didn't work out. And up to this point, I had no idea why I couldn't go back to the United States. Obviously, today everything's worked out. I'm here, everything's good. And I'm here legally, just so you know. But everything worked out well by God's grace. But Jen and I prayed. And it tested our resolve for one another. It tested my persistence with what is God doing with my life here. And I'm working at a gym. I'm selling memberships to a gym. It's like, Lord, I went to college for 3.5 years. I'm okay to do this if this is what you want me to do. But it seems like this is a big turnaround. The thing I didn't want to do, I'm now wanting to do. And now that I'm ready to want to do it, you're not having me do it. And so it was really a test of persistence. Jen and I prayed, and ultimately I decided to go to Canada to work as a literature evangelist. A door opened for me to go, and Jen and I were able to connect, and we ended up getting married in the United States. That's another story. I got to tell you how that happened. I was able to go into the States to get married. Let me tell you it real quick, because it's a part of the story. What are we going to do? We're going to get married. We have to get married in your hometown in North Carolina, sure. But let's have a backup plan just in case we can't get married in North Carolina. We'll have one here and invite people here. Okay, let's do that. I was told if you're going to go into the States, go through the Detroit tunnel because the immigration officers are friendly. Like, that's nice, but it's not going to, we'll see. We prayed a lot about it. We went down. I was with my brother. He was with me at the time. Went down, Jen was down in North Carolina getting ready for the wedding. Went down to into the tunnel through Detroit from Canada, and we were greeted. And when you tell a person you're from Australia, you're always sent inside to fill in a card and to get a stamp in your passport. So that's what happened. And they gave me a green card, and there were questions on the card, name and all of that. There was a question, have you ever been denied entry into the United States? And I said, I'm not going to lie. But I can't leave it blank. I've got to put down the right answer, and I know it's over right here. So I wrote down yes, and they wanted the date. I put down the date. Actually, there were multiple dates I could put down. Been denied entry here, and here, and here. And I gave it back to the immigration officer, and I said, "Oh Lord, this is all in your hands. It's up to you." And he took the green slip out of my passport. He opened a drawer, put it in the drawer, shut the door, handed me my passport and said, enjoy your time in the United States. I said, praise the Lord. So being the person I am, I found the nearest payphone. My brother and I pulled over, found a payphone, called Jen, got on the phone. Jen, I got news for you. I made it into the United States. And so We praise God for that. It was a miracle. We got married in North Carolina. That whole episode was a major challenge. It was a major turning point, not only in my life but in Jen's life. And it would turn the course of things the way I thought they were going to go. It would turn the course of everything. Our children were born in Canada. The first MAGA book program, canvassing summer program, began in Canada when we were there. A lot of things changed. The way I thought they were going to happen, God turned it all on its head. My brother got baptized. My time in Australia, I couldn't figure out why I was there. It wasn't until later that I found out why. People were making decisions for Jesus through the associations I had with them. And it was an incredible thing. I had no idea what was going on at the time. I was just distressed about the whole experience. But God was using that time, that moment, to bring people to Him. And I didn't find that out till later. But it's in those turning points, those moments, that we learn persistence, even in our relationship with God. Because we don't know what's going on. We have lots of questions. But He says, trust me. And we hold on. We persist. And so don't give up. Don't ever give up. Keep moving forward. Don't die until you're dead, as someone said. Persist, and God will bless you, and God will keep you, and God will help you. The last thing I want to share with you, lesson I want to share with you here this morning, is really a lesson on legacy, on destiny and legacy. And it's simply this: be benevolent. Be benevolent. 2 Corinthians 9:8 says, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may abound to every good work. That's a powerful promise. There is a difference, friends, between making a living and making a difference. I'm doing full circle now, coming back full circle. First message we talked about King Solomon, who was making a living. He was making a living. Making a living and making a difference are two different things. Making a living is necessary to sustain living, and we must. But no matter how much money a person earns in a lifetime, those assets essentially become the property of someone else when we die. Making a difference, however, making a difference is about legacy, what we leave behind. It's about how others will remember you. Someone said death only closes a person's reputation and determines it as good or bad. So legacy is about, making a difference is about legacy. It's about how others are going to remember you. One of my mentors, he told the story about his maternal grandmother. His maternal grandmother lived most of her life in a small town called Newport, Tennessee, which is in the area of the Great Smoky Mountains, eastern Tennessee. And this lady had little formal education, and she was a housewife all of her adult life. She lived through 4 wars, the Great Depression, the accidental death of her younger sister, and the agonizingly slow death of her husband of 62 years. So my mentor visited his grandma. He needed to get over there, say hi, hadn't seen her for a while. So he went to go see her 2 months before her 80th birthday. And they sat on the porch and they talked family. And he would chart a family tree as she would talk about relatives dating all the way back to the Civil War. He said it was such a refreshing and enjoyable time. And at one point toward the end of the conversation, she turned to him, her grandson, and said, I haven't been real successful in life, I admit. I haven't done a lot of things, gone a lot of places, or had a lot of money. But if I've done nothing else, I've tried to raise my 3 children the best I knew how by setting a good example for them and my grandchildren. So the conversation ended. He left about an hour later. They drove home. They got home late that evening. The phone rang. They recognized there was something wrong. It was his mum. He'd called. Grandma had just passed away, died of a massive stroke, an hour after they had left her place. They were on the way to the funeral, and he, my mentor friend, was thinking thoughts. He was thinking about his grandmother. And he thought about what she said, how she said that she hadn't been real successful in life, hadn't done a lot of things, been a lot of places, made a lot of money. And he thought to himself that grandmother was a success, more than she knew. because she was honest, because she had integrity, because she modeled those qualities that are necessary to be modeled to those who are closest to her kids and her grandkids. And she did make a difference in her life. That was her legacy. That was her legacy. Making a difference, friends, is far more important than making a living. And we have to keep everything in proper perspective. You make a difference by passing on life lessons to others, by sharing them how you succeeded and how you made your way through. That's how we leave a legacy, by making a difference, by passing things on to others. It is the intangible spirit that we have that actually has a greater influence on the mind of others after we're gone than the tangible things that we had, the things that we had done. It is the memory that we leave in people's minds. And your legacy is best secured when you help others burn brightly for Jesus as well, because that legacy will never die. You know, some of you may be familiar with the song, I'm certainly not going to sing it, Find Us Faithful. It was a song sung by Steve Green. And it says, "Oh, may all who come behind us find us faithful. May the fire of our devotion light their way. May the footprints that we leave lead them to believe, and the lives we live inspire them to obey." Money without morality leads to greed. Money with morality leads to generosity. A life without the Spirit of grace leads to meanness. A life with the Spirit of grace always leads to kindness. Your eulogy, if you were to have one, and Jesus doesn't come back first, your eulogy won't be based on how you earned your living, but based on the reputation you earned while living. So live for the glory of God. Live with integrity. Be a source of inspiration to others. Let your influence be a reflection of the Creator God and shine brightly for Him. Making a living is about material success, which is something we need to do. But making a life is about true success. Making a difference is true success, which continues to live on in the minds of others. So the question I leave with you here this morning is, will your legacy be lowly, or will your legacy be legitimate? Will your legacy be lowly, or will your legacy be legitimate? I encourage you, friends, burn brightly for Jesus. May God help us. God bless you today.